So there we go. First track of the evening. That is Adam Schofield and Falling. Wow. Wow is all I have to say on that. I just need to open up another tab of my stream. There we go. Yeah. Obviously, Adam, I have listened to your stuff for at least 2 years. You've sent stuff in before, and it was always of a great standard, but I really, really like this. And the sign of a good hard trance tune for me sometimes, not always, but is the notion of not needing to have a vocal to kind of like fill things out. That riff, the melody was really, really nice. You don't need to hear it, Adam. You've already heard it. You already heard it. It's fine. You know what it sounds like. Really, really liked it. The melody was very, very nice. The sounds, your sound design was really, really good. Very HTE sounding. Very European hard trance, Scott Project, Guyver, that kind of style. But yours, you've made it your own as well. Definitely not taking away from your own sound. And I like this. I like this sound. I think that it's really, really strong. Nothing more to say really than just wow. And that I really like it. And I'm sure if it hasn't already been picked up, that it will be picked up. Honestly, mate, well done. And guys, please make sure you go and follow Adam on SoundCloud. Thank you. You should be really proud of yourself, mate. That's awesome. Okay, next up, we have got Boski. Lads. Boski has done a remix of a Stereo Slaves track called Fadin Away. Fadin without a G on the end. Fadin away. So that's what we're going to listen to now. Here we go. There we go. That is Stereo Slaves Fading Away. Boski's Cosmic Fire remix. Really nicely done, mate. You've definitely got a sound now. So I appreciate that sound as well. I think it's awesome. And I think you're doing a really nice job there. I know that Mark Ross is in as well, who is Stereo Slaves. I presume you've got his blessing as well. I think you've done I think you've done it justice. I think you've done a really, really good job. You've put your own spin on it, which is exactly what a remix is all about. So yeah, I liked it a lot. Technically, everything sounded really great. I think it was, for me, maybe a little bit too long. A little bit. We're sitting at 8 minutes 19. But I know that that is probably something that's subjective on my end. But yeah, yes, that's what she said. It's long, but you know, if that's how it felt and that's how you've expressed it, then that's how it is at the end of the day. So yeah, I have plans to shorten a bit, maybe, but you could, and it certainly would, it would just, I think by condensing it, it would just make it more impactful as well. Definitely. So, but that is just a subjective take on it. But I loved it. I think you did an amazing job. Really proud of you. Thank you for sending it in. Stop it, Red Misty. Anyone that says that is a liar. About 7 minutes. Nice. Yeah. Really, really good tune. Yeah. I think all of us will agree there. I want to say a massive thank you to Adam Schofield for resubscribing for 10 months now. I really appreciate you, Adam, and anyone else that is subscribed to my channel. Anyone that supports me as an independent content creator, for doing this show, and for, you know, all the other stuff that I do. So thank you. Thank you so much. Electronate, good to see you. I tried to leave a song at 4 minutes because it just feels so incomplete. I understand that. I understand that feeling. So a lot of people, I spoke to someone at the weekend who I was encouraging to come onto the show and will send something into the show because they felt like their songs were missing something. And it's not until you start making music that you can really understand what that actually means and what it could be that it is, you know, effectively missing. So yeah, it is a shame, Adam, but never mind. You can watch it back, remember, on YouTube. So this show is being recorded right now, and you'll be able to watch it back on YouTube. So that's that sorted. Hi, DJ Moans. How you doing, mate? But yeah, it's a very normal experience to have to not know what to do next in a track. That's why a lot of us get stuck in that 16-bar loop, or maybe an 8-bar loop, or a 4-bar loop. And then you get frightened. You don't want to start going into arrangement mode. And then you do, and you're not sure, you know, where things are supposed to go. That's what we're here for. We can help you with things like that. So it's a very, very normal part of learning to finish your music. It's the sectioning it out, putting it all in a linear fashion out in arrangement, and working out what goes where, how it's best to transition between those sections, and how to do that fluidly. And also then to work out, okay, well, what's it missing here? What's it missing there? But yeah, those are the right issues to have. If you're not having those issues, then you're not really trying hard enough. Always finish the tune. Nothing worse than having loads on the go, says Boski. Yeah. Yeah. It's so true though, isn't it? But it's difficult sometimes to finish a song because you're like, I know it could be better, or there's that procrastination side of it as well, isn't there? But there is something very, very important in the act of finishing, drawing a line under, and moving on to the next thing. And remember, folks, that not all, I've never called you folks before. Where did that come from? Remember, folks, I've forgotten what I'm going to say now. I remembered quickly. Not every song that you make needs to be something for people. That's all, folks. That's where it's from, isn't it? Stop it. It's my ADHD is kicking off now because I've had sugar. I'm eating cake and I'm forgetting things. Okay. Oh, now I'm thinking about cake. Not all songs, not all of your projects need to be releases. Not every single one of them needs to be release ready or something that you'd even show to anyone else. So it can be okay, and it must be okay for us to finish projects and move on to something else. If there's something in that project that you really like and you don't want to finish it because there's something in there that you've got a really good idea for, and you think, oh no, this bit's brilliant, but I can't work out how to either arrange or what percussion, or you're having troubles with the bass line around it or whatever, and you're scared of finishing that project and then losing that amazing bit in it. What I do is I bounce it down. So if it's a MIDI pattern, I'll take the MIDI pattern, put it into a special folder that I've got, my favourites folder, 2025, and then whatever the month is. So, for example, my favourites, subfolder, 2025, subfolder, June 2025, subfolder, MIDI patterns. So if it's a MIDI pattern, it will live in there. And then I will also, next to it, render out the audio of whatever it is, so I know what it sounds like. And by doing that, I will never ever lose something that I really liked in a unfinished project, because it will always be somewhere for me to use later on down the line or in a completely different project. So that way it stops you from having that anxiety around not finishing, because that can actually be, it's a really good point, that can actually be a kind of catch-22, kind of. That can actually be a way that we'll, what's the word? Purposely trip ourselves over, because you don't want to finish it because you like this idea, but you have to finish it in order to progress. So it can be like this self-sabotage. Yeah. Yes, sabotage. A bit like me eating cake is a bit of self-sabotage. But right now, I don't care. Look at me getting brave because I'm all sugared up. You wait, in about 2 hours' time, I'll be like, I don't feel very well. But not right now. Yeah. Okay, next up. Oh, I had a glass of red wine earlier. My first red wine of the year. That was quite nice, actually. But I felt tired afterwards. Yeah, you make sure you do electronate. Yeah, we did enjoy it, Boski. It was awesome. Thank you for sending it in, mate. Oh, and I need you all to go and follow Boski. I didn't give you the thing. Here you go. What wine was it? It was just a Merlot. I had a large Merlot with a Carvery earlier, and a sparkly water. It was nice. It was nice. But I didn't want any more after that. I was like, no, that's I don't want any more alcohol. Too busy eating cake, exactly. So, guys, make sure you go and follow Boski. Thank you. Next up, we've got DJ Kambel. DJ Kambel in the house. And this is Smash the DJ Booth.
to do. You got to break down and smash through the DJ booth. Hey, you, funky, funky, what's it do? You got to break down and smash through the DJ booth. Hey, you, funky, funky, what's it do? You got to break down and smash through the DJ booth. Hey, you, funky, funky, what's it do? You got to break down and smash through the DJ booth.
Okay. All right. Okay, so DJ Kambel, I really like this. Very, very interesting donk textures in this. And I liked it. It reminded me of some of the 12-inch thumpers stuff that I used to play. Well, I still do play on my streams. Really interesting textured layers in that donk. If we just go back and have a quick listen, you'll see what I mean. It's not like a normal FM donk. It's layered and it's layered on harmonics of the root note. Which is really clever because what it does is it makes it sound fuller, but in different ways. So you've got ways to make things sound fuller. So you can detune stuff, as in detuning oscillators on a synth. You can add white noise to an oscillator. You can add layers and an EQ differently. There are many. Hello, Kambel. There are many ways that you can. Now you're here, Kambel. You could just explain to us what you've done with your donk. I was literally just saying, we just listened through, and I'm just saying, I really like the different textures and layers that you've got in here, and I'm just trying now to kind of break down what you're doing. So I can hear like a detuned layer in there, or like a harmonic of the root note. And I quite like it. I quite like that detunedness of it. It sounds a bit odd on a phone, says C. James. Yeah, that might be. That's what I like about it. I quite like that detunedness to it. There's 6 different donks, 2 on a 5 semitone, about to the root note. Nice. Yeah, nice. 2 on 5 semitones. Can you just say that again? No, we're not talking about cake, Richie. 6 different donks, man. Do you know, all I'd say is, like in this bit, you know, where you move up and down and you got that progression, one of the layers sounds a little bit louder than the others, and the layer that's the loudest is a harmonic 5th to your root note, and that might be kind of like making it sound a little odd. But not in a bad way. It can give more power to the cadence resolutions, which gives it the most impact. Oh, I like how you said that. 4 donks on the root note, 2 semitone, 5 semitones above, and a sub bass. Ah, nice. I like it. I think it sounds really unique. It sounds, but it does, like from the standpoint of classical trained pianist Amber, like it sounds off, but it's donk and it's supposed to be like that. I really like it. I think it's really cool. Mama T, thank you so much, babe. I want to say a massive thank you to InaPhect for subscribing as well. I did see that earlier. Thank you so much. And Mama T, thank you so much for 28 months. That's crazy support. Thank you. So yeah, you're gonna have that happen, Kambel, as you all know. If you're starting to detune, if you've got loads of layers and then we start detuning stuff, and then you've got progressions within your tune as well. There are going to be points where, you know, it's going to sound maybe a little bit odd or whatever, but I think that it works well. It's different, and you need something different in this day and age. So well done, mate. And guys, can you make sure you go and follow DJ Kambel, please? Because he's really clever. He's very good. We do love a bit of Kambel. You're welcome, mate. Thank you for sending it in. Thank you. Next up, we've got Stereo Slaves, and it's called In the Dark. Duh. No, you're a 6-layered donk. Shut up. Fair play for doing 6 layers, man. Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy. Crazy dog. Okay, so this is Stereo Slaves in the Dark.
In the dark, you're reaching out.
Oh my goodness. Mark Ross, Take a Bow. That is Stereo Slaves in the Dark. Massive vocal, really, really great vocal. That vocal was dealt with really well. It was louder than the other parts. This is something that I myself have not really considered before, about having that vocal be front and center, when it's there, and so that we can hear what the fuck it's saying. It sounded really good. I don't know if there was some kind of side chaining when that vocal's coming in with other elements in the track, but it just felt very solid all the way through. Good recording, processed very well, all of the above. Also, a good example of a tune that hasn't been rushed. There were a lot of textual elements that I could hear in the background, in the percussion, one shots, those kinds of things, and even as simple as that, a kind of exponential effect where it kind of like gets slower and then speeds up. That I hear a lot of in melodic techno at the moment. C. James says, this is so well produced. Could do with a bit more filler after the breakdown. Yeah, I agree. I think in the breakdown it was quite sparse, but it could be a stylistic choice to do that so that there's more impact when it comes back in again. But yeah, if it was my tune, I would probably, as a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, I would be putting in more kind of like prizes, booms, that kind of thing, or maybe some kind of textured loop in the background, or a blur of a convolution reverb blur of the vocal that I would sit back and like have it washed in reverb to kind of like fill that space in and do something with it, and use that extra space to kind of like build it back up again into that crescendo, into the drop. But it's all down to personal taste and preference, isn't it? At the end of the day, certainly doesn't take away anything from the impact of this track. Really, really nice, and I'm sure that this is going to get released. I'd like to know where the vocal's from, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Mark says, and Mark's from Scotland, so I shouldn't have told you that, should I? I should have just done the accent. How do you do Scottish? Hang on. Thank you for playing. I do want to add more, but keep ruining the flow, says Mark Ross. Scottish! Oh, Jimmy, you nipped my head. I've not done a Scottish accent for ages. I am brew. Yeah, that's how he talks. From Scotland. Aye. Now, what did you say? Thank you for playing. I do want to add more, but keep ruining the flow. I understand. So it's a bit of like damage limitation, I guess, for you. Also, it's good to know when a track's done, isn't it? It's good to know when a track's done. I think it's probably better to not overdo it than to overdo it. I think it's probably better to have less than more than too much. Not when I'm talking about cake, obviously. Like, more cake's always a good idea. Never stop eating cake. Never, ever. Always, Tash. Always. Don't be normal. Don't grow up. It's a trap. And try to be as crazy as you can. Especially if you're as an artist, as a creative. Definitely. But just channel it. Channel the madness. I spent many years, actually, before I took music production or even DJing like properly seriously. I think all of us can, like, don't you think anyone that is a DJ, music producer, or an artist in any kind of a way, shape or form, or just if you're a human being, you're alive right now, press 1. And also, can you relate to that, about feeling better if you're channeling that energy, that energy that you have? If you're a little bit, you might be diagnosed with some kind of special ailment. Harnessing that energy into something productive, something creative, something expressive is the number one way to feel in control of your life. It really is. It really is. And you can do that. There's a lot of artists who, actively split up with people so that they can talk about the heartbreak in their music. You don't need to do that. You don't need shit things to happen in order for you to be, able to draw upon that. You can draw upon the things that are happening in your life. Tash says, I've diagnosed myself as a dickhead. Nice. I don't think you need to do any more on the lead melody, Mark. I think it sounded great as it was, but this is what this show is here for. And the fact that you said that you kept ruining it, don't you think that means it shouldn't be happening? Another good thing that we should all remember is if it's not working, then we don't need to try and make it work. That can go for percussive noises, for kicks, for sound design, anything. It doesn't need to be hard work, because the problem is when you start spending, and this, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. Weird phrase that. Come on, brain. This is what cake does to me. It addles my brain. It really does. Come on. You were nearly there. If it's taking you, I've got it. If it's taking you a long time to get something to work, right, in a track, and you force the issue within that project, I bet you there's something wrong with it. Ultimately, there's going to be, it's either not the right sound, you're trying to force it in, and other things are going to suffer as a direct result of you trying to change this aspect or add this thing in that you really want, which isn't working. Then on top of that, what happens is we have this psychological battle with emotional investment into the sound that we were trying to put into this project. And once you've got an emotional investment, anyone who's ever been in a shitty relationship for a long amount of time, and you've put in investment into it, either emotional, financial, which is also linked to the emotional investment, all of the above, it makes it difficult to pull away and do something else, try something else, say it's not working. It really, really is. So, but obviously there's a nice kind of happy medium area with that. So it isn't like, oh, that's not working, fuck it off straight away. But if it isn't working, move away from it, take a break. I mean, this goes for music production and in life. As we all know, music production runs parallel with life's little trials and tribulations as well. It's just like a micro or macrocosmic version of life. That's why I see making music as being extremely good for our mental health as well, because it teaches us these things. But if you're trying too hard with it and it's not working, that's how it's all good. That investment is what's going to fuck up the rest of the tune. So yeah, replace it. And eat more cake. Yay! Having a bit of a break from it is a really, really good idea. And that goes for relationships and anything that is feeling like it's under a microscope. We're having this issue at the moment with I don't know why I'm whispering, they can't hear me here upstairs. One of the girls, I've got teenage girls, and we're having a lot of first loves and kind of getting into the realms of a little bit of stalkery behavior from them, in the sense of looking at Life 360, which is an app where you can see where everyone is on your phone, and then questioning their boyfriend, saying, why are you at McDonald's? You said that you were at home tonight. That kind of thing. So we're having a bit of a talk with them at the moment to do with this, you know, putting it under a microscope, and sometimes you've got to give things a little bit of time, a little bit of perspective. And again, like I say, that goes for relationships, and that goes the stalker up, and that also goes for our music as well. Having a few days or maybe even a few weeks away from that project, and this is continuing to talk about your track, Mark, and the issue that you're having, but it's also very relevant to all of us. Going back to it after at least a couple of weeks sometimes, and then listening to it on fresh ears, I bet you this issue that you feel like you're having now is going to be lifted from you and confirmed that it's fine. Because we are too close to our work sometimes. Yeah, weeks. I've spent sometimes, on my track Metal that has just been released, ! Metal, I didn't like that song. I didn't like it. It's one of my most intricate pieces of work that I've ever done. It took me quite a long time to do all of the sound design on it. All of the synthesis on it was done from scratch, everything. And I didn't like it. And the reason why I didn't like it was because I was too close to the art. It took me 6 months of not listening to it. And a few of you in the chat were saying, when are you releasing Metal? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to. Because of the amount of time and investment and learning that I did with that tune. I didn't really consider it to be a track that I was ever going to release, but then a lot of you were saying about it. Yeah, C. James did, the Ruff mate did, I think. A few of you talked about it, and I was like, okay, I will release it. And I did, and it's been played on Radio 1. It's done really, really well. But I assumed for a number of months that I didn't like it, and it took me months of not listening to it, and then I went back to it and I listened to it. I was like, that's fucking mint. Like, I did that. Like, it blew my mind, because I was like, if that wasn't my tune and I heard that, I'd be like, I really like that. I'm inspired by that. And that's what you want to get to, is that kind of like place. Yeah, it's not like anything else, is it? It's really, really important, because those tracks that you feel like you might not like, or that you've ruined, or there's something about it that might not be quite right, just maybe give it a bit of time. Obviously, send it over to us because we'll have a listen to it, but also just give it a few weeks, maybe even longer. It might be only a few days for you. It depends how, involved you are within your art, but sometimes forgetting about it altogether and then seeing it again, like, you fall in love with it again. And if you don't, then you know you've made the right decision to come away from it. Exactly what Control 4 said. Yeah, I like that. You just stood back as an artist and enjoyed the painting from afar. Yes, instead of hyper-focusing on the percussion. Hyper-focusing on, what was it that Mark said? About, hi Wilson. Where was it? Something about the wanting to elaborate on the melody, whatever it was, or the in the breakdown, whatever it is that the last thing was that you were messing around with, the mix down, whatever it is, and because it gets overcooked otherwise. Hi K Ninja. things, we live in a world right now, we're going to move on now because we've got Control 4's tune on, but the last thing I'm going to say on this is we live in a world at the moment where music is very disposable, and it feels like everyone's moving at a really fast pace with it, and everyone's doing a lot more than we are. Please don't let that discourage you, and please don't get fooled by that, because this isn't about any of those things. This is about you expressing yourself, and it can take a long time, and that's okay. You don't want to get into this habit of just churning stuff out, because you'll never really get to the root of what it is that is you. You don't need to just like be putting shit out. By all means, do a few remixes, get yourself, a name, and you can get engagement from that and all the rest of it, but leave a bit of energy for the stuff that takes a bit longer. Go and experiment, get your hands messy. Do stuff just for the sake of doing it. Do things without a reason for doing it. I have got it in my diary for this week that I just want to open up Avenger and DSP 65000, the emulator for the virus, and I just want to fuck around and make noises. That's it. It's for no other reason than just doing it. Really important that sometimes that is the case. You just do stuff for the sake of it. No strings attached, basically. Next up. Thank you again, Mark. We love you. Control 4, and this is Fulgore Protocol. Eat cake, make noise. There you go. Thank you, Wilson. I'm really glad that you guys like metal. Thank you. This is really helpful for me because it did take a long time. It's really difficult for me to do things seriously because I'm a very fun person and I hide behind comedy. That's where my safe space is, right? If I express myself on a deeper level and express myself vulnerably and seriously or sincerely, like I did with metal, takes a lot out of me to do that. So the fact that you guys were like, yeah, I like this, that really helps me because it makes me think that there's value in that. So thank you. Fulgore Protocol, here we go. There we go. Control 4. Fulgore Protocol. What's the why that name? Huh? Why did you call it Fulgore Protocol? Is that what it means? Killer Instinct. Nice. Nice. The game from 1999. I don't remember that. Yeah, why not? Why not, says Richie. It's a good name. It's a character. Yeah, I really like that name. I think it's cool. Progressive Psy, apparently. I would have said Psytrance. But a few of you were saying it's progressive Psytrance. Lovely. Really, really nice. I love the little flicks in the bass line, which is very stylistic of Psytrance. I love all the textures. This took me on a journey. It had definite sections where things felt like they were moving along. I felt like I was having a conversation with myself within the song, which is why Psytrance is kind of synonymous with certain types of hallucinogenics and psychedelics for good reason, because those kind of noises and the way that kind of like interacts with your brain, like, I mean, I get that without needing to be. I've got a cake-addled brain right now, and I can hear that. I can hear how it's making me think. It's awesome because it's kind of like that music guides the thoughts. And that's what I love about Psytrance in particular, is how it can guide my thoughts in different directions. And that's why it is so synonymous with mental health in general, I think. Yeah, it's really nice. Really, really intelligent sounding. The textures all kind of like have different meanings for me. The use of spatial effects as well, like your reverb, your panning, the delay, the timing of these things, all of those things are what makes Psytrance and gives it that expression, gives it that kind of feel. So yeah, it's awesome. I really do like Psytrance. I've never signed Psytrance. I don't really have a Psytrance label, but I do really like listening to it. So it's a very specific sound. But yeah, I've got so much of this stuff on at the moment, Control 4, but absolutely, if I do start to sign Psytrance, I will definitely let you know, because it's awesome. If anyone's got a Psytrance label, please get in touch with Control 4, and please, I know where to find you. You were doing a remix of Metal anyway, weren't you? I've still not heard from that yet. That would be really cool to have like a Psytrance mix of that. That'd be well cool. Hi Mark D's Nuts. How are you doing? Yes, do take your time. It's important. No rush at all. Control 4 Official is on Instagram. He also streams here on Twitch. And he does a show very similar to the demo drop, but in his own way. If you're looking for quite in-depth knowledge of mastering, of different types of production methods, in a bit of a different format to the one that we have here, please go and give him a follow. The more people that you can follow on Twitch who live stream music production stuff and can give you different advice, the better, because all of us are coming at it from different perspectives with our own lived experience, our own skill sets, and I think it would be really helpful for many of you who are maybe new, but you don't have to be new to your music journey, but I think I don't think it is ever, it's never going to be confusing if it does feel confusing, just take from the people's advice what feels right, okay? Because they're all just opinions at the end of the day. But by surrounding yourself with people who are into music and want to talk to you, especially about the philosophy of making music, that's another thing that Control 4 does, same as me. He comes at it from a holistic, hippie kind of a psychological sense as well, and that means that you don't need to be a music producer in order to get something from that. Anyone can get something from that. It can be applied to any kind of anyone at the end of the day. So yeah, make sure you follow him. Next up is InaPhect. So InaPhect is a father and son duo who have been on a few times now. I think this might be your fourth one, maybe even your fifth. And this is a track called Taking Over. There we go. That is InaPhect taking over. A lot to unpack with this. I like the initial ideas. I think that this has got a lot of potential, but there are a few things that I feel could be holding it back. I heard first of all, the bass didn't feel like there was any bass, or the bass that you have got is on a sample that's connected to something else, and you've thought, oh, that will do. Perhaps. Let me just go back again, have a listen. So you've got this bum 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 bum. Those stabs. And I assume what's happened is you've gone, oh, that will take the place of the bass. That needs to be when those, well, not just when those are in, but you either need to layer that with an oscillator of like a sub, or even maybe like a mid bass to kind of like fatten that up. Like there, you've got nothing. There's no bass at all. The kick's kicking, I think, Drew Clute. I think the kick is kicking. I like the kick, but the bass. Yeah, you could have a bass following that kind of triplet-y, like bum 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 bum. That would be really cool. And it would bring it all out a lot more. I know this is why you're here. Mate. You guys have not been doing it for very long, so like what you're doing is epic, and I'm excited for you because this is really, really cool. So many good ideas in this. Then we've got an issue with the pianos and the strings. The pianos and the strings are drowning out the vocal in places. I made a note at 2:45, but this also happened at 4:19 as well. So at 2:45. No. So it's at 2 minutes 30. Feel like those pianos and the reverse strings that are in there are diminishing the effect of the vocal. This is just a mixed down thing, or it could even be you maybe wash it a little bit more with some reverb. I think it would be good now for you to go and research into side chaining vocals or side chaining. Side chaining go and look into sidechaining the vocal to something else. I know this is very easy to do in Ableton because you could just you just select a trigger. If you use an FL Studio, there's a few extra steps in it. But what would be good is if what you can do is have it so that every time the vocal is triggering the compression or the sidechain, it will duck down the pianos or even maybe the bus group of the melody or the melodic element, however you have your bus group set up. It will duck them down so that the vocal will always stay on top. Very similar to how you would sidechain your kick and your bass. And there are many ways. You're welcome, Control 4. That's what we're all here for. Use Studio One. There will be a way to do it. There are a few different ways of doing it. We used to do it years ago with Ghost Notes. So you'd have like you would have a muted kick, and then the compression would be the kick would trigger the compression of that on the bass. But you can do it in many different ways. That's why we've got LFO tool, which is a bit more of a lazier way of doing it. But I would look at doing this because it's a vocal. You can't really use something like LFO tool to do this job. It needs to be something that is triggering the audio source, i.e. in this instance, the vocal. Yeah, and then at that stage, you can also use it to trigger the reverb, the delay. And the really good reason for doing that is your vocal will never, you can do it one of two ways. You can either have a completely wet version of the vocal, bounce that down and then mix it back in with the dry vocal, or another way of doing it is having the reverb or the delay be triggered by the vocal, so that every time the vocal is hitting those transients, there is no reverb, or there's a little less reverb or a little less delay. So that means that you'll never have your vocals start to get washed out. Hi, DJ G. I got stuck on G then. GWR. There we go. But yeah, this is a really, really good problem to have, because this is a great learning curve on how to get how to start to get your track sounding very professional. So that's what I would recommend you go and do. The 303 could be louder. I used to do this with my 303s. I used to sit them back in the mix and be a bit like, oh, yeah. And then I had a chat with Guy about this. He was like, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, because I can't get it to fit. He was like, it needs to be front and center. Get it front and center, and give it its moment. You have an amazing 303 in here. It just needs its moment. It just needs to have its section. I like the grittiness of it as well. I think it's a nice distortion on that as well. And I also like the low and high that you've got on there. So definitely consider, even if it's not on this project, in a future project, consider allowing the 303 to have a section, like even almost as if it was it is a singer and it's just having its little space. See, Mark says, I like the delicate 303 on this particular track. So there you go. What I'm saying could actually just be subjective. It's okay to add effects to 303. Absolutely. In fact, I think that it's really important that you do add effects to 303 to help it to kind of fit with everything else. So yeah, what else did I write? That's it. Yeah, and a new mix down as well. But some really good ideas in this. I couldn't hear what the vocal was saying on some parts of it. So I don't know where you got this vocal from, or whether if maybe just doing those steps that we talked about before with the side chaining of the vocal to other elements of the track will probably help that issue, and we'll be able to hear what it's saying a bit more. And someone said track spacer as well. I have track spacer and I haven't used it. I got it, and then I've just forgot to use it, even though I've got it there. But yeah, I would say go and have a look at that as well. So yeah, thank you for sending it in, mate. Thank you. Next up, we've got the Ruff mate, and then we've got DDK afterwards. So we've got the Ruff mate first. This is the Ruff mate and R&B Ash, and this is Forever Tonight. Okay, there we go. That is the Ruff mate and R&B Ash, Forever Tonight. There is, okay, the whole thing is amazing, by the way. I think it's really good, but we do have some pitching issues. I don't even think it's as complicated as phase alignment, but it could be. I think all this is you're looking instead of listening. So you might know what key the vocal's in, and then you might be thinking that your bass sound, your sub bass is also on that root note of the key of the vocal. However, a few things come into play here depending on how you have reached this sub bass sound. Number one, is it from a synth? If it is from a synth, is it absolutely a true root note of that sound, of that frequency? Is it actually that sound? Is there sub bass harmonies, which is a bit experimental? Okay, so that means that on your sub bass, either there's too much detuning going on, or the sound that you're using isn't actually that note that it says it is. You know, like sometimes when you're going through presets, it sometimes isn't that note, and that could be because of many reasons, something to do with the preset itself sometimes. So yeah, it's actually a whole semitone off. So it might just be as simple as you've put it on the wrong note. Phantom note effect. Let's have a listen back again. Let's have a quick recap. Here. You're a whole note out there. You've also got like a clicky sound on it. So I don't know if that's like an LFO tool that's clicking, or maybe you might need to take retrig on or off. Something's clicking on that. Yeah, you're a semitone out on both of those on that sub bass. So go and have a look. It's panned one note per side. I wouldn't do that on your sub. I mean, do what you want. However, I would try it having it monoed, because it's your sub and that is going to cause problems. Yeah, and that bass attack is a bit severe. Yeah, all good stuff to learn from, though. It's better than just sticking a sample on it, isn't it? That's fine, that bit. So it's just that bit there. The other bit was fine. So I think you might even just I think you just need to go and have a look in the MIDI pattern again and just check. Just put it up a semitone or half a semitone and see if that works. But yeah, it's an easy fix, but I am surprised that you can't hear that. I'm surprised that you can't. But again, do you know what we were saying earlier? I don't know if you were here when we were saying earlier about being too close to something. And it might be the fact that you're kind of, like I said earlier, looking at this instead of listening to it. But I can hear that very, very, very... It's very, very obvious to me. Yeah, so just, go... I'm testing my ear of acceptance. I like that. It's definitely worth going back and doing it, because this tune's amazing. That vocal's great. And I love all of the other things in here. So yeah, just go and check the MIDI pattern and just check that you're on the right note. Go in and check your layers of the oscillators of that bass, and also maybe come away from the severity of that attack on the LFO tool, or your volume envelope, or whatever it is that you've got on there that's causing that kind of or just soften it a little bit. Don't have it like 100%, or if it's around 75%, maybe bring it back a bit more. Whatever it is that's causing that, go and just kind of like soften that down if you want. Of course, it's completely up to you. But yeah, I think it's really worth going back in and doing it. Yeah, I agree with the bass being in mono. Do you know where it comes from though? Like, having the bass in mono was a thing that we did because of the needle literally flying out of the groove of a record if it was in stereo. Clubs do have mono. Yep, most clubs are probably still in mono. However, we don't listen to music in the same ways as we used to. So there is a strong argument against the need to have bass in mono. So it's all, maybe just have like stereo aspects, maybe not panning hard left and hard right. There'll be some kind of happy medium that you can maybe on a layer, widen it in that way, and widen it. There's what's the one that I use? Sideminder. And with that one, you can widen it. You can set like what range it can then widen over. So like anything over 200 hertz can be wide. Anything under that is kept mono. So, or just putting things in parallel. So the more stereo things are, the more distorted they are in terms of phase alignment. Wow. The more distorted they are in terms of phase alignment. Hi, Mr. Grossberger. With my ICE installs, it was mainly to stop the subs firing at slightly different times. It's sounding like they're slightly out of phase. Phase correlation is perfect in mono. Yeah, the what's that free one that I have on my master? Come on, brain. I know you're sugar addled right now. What's the bloody free thing that we all use that shows you phase correlation? Come on. It's a spectral analyzer. What's it called? The free one. Voxengo. Not ear holes. Span. I got there. Span. SPAN. Voxengo Span. That has a that will show you the mono, the phase correlation on there, and it'll be in green as well. So you just get used to reading that and just put that on your master, and then you'll be able to see at a glance whether or not you've got any phasing issues. But yeah, I use that on everything. So yeah, and if it's perfect stereo, it'll be red. So yeah, it can be a very helpful tool if you need to just double check. You're welcome, gang. Thank you for sending that in, May, and please make sure you send it back when you've done any changes to it, so I can have a listen to it. I don't play things twice on the show, but I would like to listen to it personally. So yeah, sorry for burping, by the way. It's almost like it's okay to have stereo effects here and there, but mostly mixed in mono. Nice, yeah. Yeah. Don't be afraid of stereo. That's one thing that I've been very scared of stereo. Like literally. More cake? Maybe. Yeah, might have a little bit more cakey wakey. Yeah. And now we have got the amazing Dr. Duruk Klut. And this is DDK Frequency Shift Acid version. Here we go. There we go, Dr. Drookloots. Thank you very much, mate. I don't seem to be able to do a fade out on Mixcloud. Thank you very, very, very much indeed for sending that in. Again, for those of you who don't know Dr. Drookloots, the tracks that he makes are on hardware. He did say on this one he's used FL Studio, I think, for some post stuff, but the majority of what he does is all hardware based, and it's so raw techno. This is like someone's tripping over something upstairs. It's very much about the evolution of the sounds and the rawness of that. And I really like it. It's not something that I do in my own music. And I think that's probably why I respect and I appreciate and I'm inspired by it, because of it being such a different workflow and a different jumping off point, you know. And Drookloots is a big reason why I want to get this drum machine as well. He's been saying it to me for a couple of years now. He's like, you need to get a drum machine, you need to get a drum machine. I'm like, yeah, I know I do, and I know I'm going to love it, because I love using my 303, my TD3 and my Virus. There's something about the physical, the tangibility of having something physical that's really helpful. In terms of making music and just having it sounding very organic, very flowy, which I think is kind of missing from a lot of music in this day and age. And that is the acid version. Yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. Please make sure you go and give him a follow. Let me just give you Dr. Drookloots Mixcloud again. Yeah, I loved it. Really, really nice. I love your stuff anyway, mate. So yeah, make sure you send something over to that. What was it called? Zodiac Commune Records. See what they think. I would love for you to have a vinyl release of your stuff out. That would be so super cool. It really would. I'm a big believer in you, mate, and I love your streams as well. So another thing that Dr. Drookloots does is he streams on vinyl as well. He plays vinyl. He's got some really cool, obscure, well, it's obscure to me, vinyl. And I've sat quite happily just listening to him when he's streaming on a Sunday afternoon. I really, really do appreciate your music tastes and you as an artist as well. So yeah, awesome! Yay! Thank you, mate. Well, that's our show.